Here with me today is Liz Solo, also known as Psychic Radio. We are inside NEOS VR right now. Liz has undertaken a great project where she's made an immersive virtual world known as Underworld, and also has made some highly interactive musical whale creatures, virtual whales inside of NEOS VR. Liz, can you explain more about Underworld, this world, and the whales inside this world?
So Meta Creation in NEOS VR is a project by the Black Bag Media Collective where two artists have been tasked, myself and Dr. Jeremy Turner here, to create non-player characters inside of a virtual environment, and we have chosen the virtual world of NEOS. And for these non-player characters to have an artificial intelligence component that gives them the ability to compose their own audio, to create their own audio in real time, independent of their creator, who is me. So essentially, meta creation is the idea of creating something that then can go on and create its own work independent of you. And that's the basic premise of the project. So essentially what's happening here, a lot of the behaviors that you're seeing incorporated into the NPCs are happening on the NEOS side. So it's the internal programming, the logics programming. But the artificially intelligent side is actually external, and it is being pipelined into NEOS VR. And I've been working with a program called MESOM, and essentially what I have done is I've created a bank of audio files that are recordings of whales, living whales, in the world's oceans. And then I've recorded a number of compositions with different themes. And so what I've instructed the MESOM program to do is to explore the compositions that I've created around themes of haunting and mourning, and then using the vocabulary of whale song to compose its own unique composition based on what its impulses are. Obviously, I'm setting some parameters, but the AI program is essentially using my compositions as a jumping off point for creating its own unique composition. So it is essentially coming from the MESOM program through a separate channel into NEOS and becomes the voice of my whale.
So what we have, they're basically twin whales. They have different personalities and sort of different objectives in life, I guess. But these are non-player characters that have been imbued with some artificial intelligence. The sounds that you're hearing are coming from them independently of me. And so I've basically created an environment within which these intelligent creatures exist. And all they really do is go around composing and interacting with each other and interacting with people in the environment. It is, of course, super simple and super basic, but it's been really exciting to work with the concept of creating something that is in itself its own creator. I didn't know I was going to be working with the theme of whales, the theme of extinction, potential extinction, but as I started building, different things started to be suggested. I think originally I was really trying to go with more of a narrative kind of format, but because when you're in VR, you've really got to roll with it and adapt. And so I moved towards audio and having the story more be embedded in the environment and the interaction of the whales. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. Everything here has been hand sort of built using the internal building tools, brushes within the NEOS environment, and it's been a really interesting kind of hands-on process, as well as being a very technically challenging process.
Sounds great, Liz. Excellent answer. I have another question. Now, these whales can compose their own kinds of sounds by themselves. What I'm wondering is, and this is the same thing you've asked me before, but basically, are you afraid of a time when creatures like these whales or other kinds of AI virtual beings can create by themselves entirely independent of you? How do you feel about that as a human artist?
For the foreseeable future, I think it's going to be a long time before AI actually kind of replace or are able to create at the level of a human being. I talk about this quality that humans possess called it, quote unquote. This artist has it. AI haven't gotten to that level yet, but I do think it's inevitable that they will. And so for me, it's about being a part of the journey towards that, having a say in how that happens, being a part of the development of this. And that's what's so exciting about being here on the ground level, because the future is still unknown. I don't personally feel threatened in any way by the notion that one day my colleagues and collaborators and even teachers might be artificially intelligent beings. I am an idealist, sometimes to a fault, so I do tend to look towards the possibility, the opportunity, the potential, the excitement of that. So for me, it's something very exciting and exhilarating. The notion that my next level of collaborators, when I'm 80, might be, artificially intelligent beings, possibly even beings of my own creation.
Excellent. What about you in terms of an artist that expects a certain livelihood, or at least a certain kind of peer review of acceptance that you're a creative artist making a living that way, either through live performance and recordings or albums? How do you feel like that in terms of AIs? Do you ever feel like AIs or AGIs might possibly displace you or other artists similar to you?
I do think that's certainly this has been coming up over and over again. And at the end of the day, still, you can't really make anything without the human element yet. If we continue to live in a capitalist-driven society where artists are just being devalued, it's almost like a steady decline of valuation, and particularly now in COVID, when we see, number one, how important artists are to us, and number two, the horrible inequities in terms of how artists have to live in order to be producing artwork for people to consume and enjoy and learn from. So certainly if the world continues on with this gross inequity and this sort of inhumane system, capitalist system that we're in, then yes, but it is not the creations or the technology that is threatening us at all. It's the system that we're in. So maybe the new AIs of the future can help us dismantle this system, So I think it's a very fair point for the short-sighted. And it could also be a very fair point in, the reality of trying to get by and exist and live. But of course, being the idealist, the two don't really meet. We have the unfair system, and then we have the creativity, we have art, we have who we are and what we do, and that's going to happen in spite of the system that we're in. although the system that we're in, does have a major impact on our lives as artists. I mean, if artists are anything, they are adaptable. And if artificial intelligence is going to rise to the point of sentience, then these beings are going to have to become our colleagues or our mentors or vice versa. So I guess I see a lot of opportunity for really unique and wacky collaborations. Like I said at the beginning, I mean, I think it's an inevitability that we go here. It is, it's where we're going. It's what is happening. I mean, you might as well get with it and be a part of its development and be a part of that journey. I think a lot of questions, of course, are not answered or even maybe answerable because it's unknown what's going to come down the pipe next. But I think being flexible, open, so long as all of these things remain accessible and not trying to kill us or whatever, that there's a lot of opportunity to expand what creation is, what an artist is, what the world is, what a human being is. So I'm into it.
Excellent. I have another question.
Yeah.
As some people know, you are a science fiction author. I was wondering if some of your ideas for science fiction have inspired you in terms of what you've made inside of NEOS VR, or perhaps it's vice versa, where things you've learned and made in NEOS VR have inspired you to create new kinds of science fiction. Perhaps you could talk more about that.
Well, one of the things that is really coming up for me a lot is actually writing about VR. And I just debuted my first full novel. It's called Freak with a PH, um, from a Toronto publisher called House of Zolo. There are references to virtual space, and it's a near future world. It's a kind of dystopian space that the main character inhabits. So it does kind of go to the dark side of where some of this stuff can go. Um, but VR and virtual space has very, very much informed my writing as an author of speculative or science fiction stuff, and has also been huge in where I've gone as a performance artist. So all the different disciplines do kind of feed each other. The next thing that I'm working on is a set of stories that are surrounding the experience of VR from different eras of time as these technologies grow and get more and more sophisticated, and we're definitely not there yet. I mean, we're wearing these big clunky things on our heads. But unless we completely destroy ourselves in the next little while, the impact of VR, I think, is going to just start to emerge as part of RL, as we call it, real life. I guess we're going into that augmented reality thing, but I think being able to access VR is going to be much more commonplace. I think the interfaces are going to become tiny. With what is going on with interfacing directly with the brain, I mean, all bets are kind of off. I think the world is going to be quite unrecognizable even 50 years from now, how these technologies are going to more and more start to integrate, hopefully, with our world.
Sounds like a perfect answer. Excellent. Excellent.